So, no Silver Between the Lines yet, but here's a bunch of toys that I was 5 months late to review. This is the Thomas & Friends Legacy line. At least that's the name I'm giving it, because it has like 5 different names that fans have given it. It was like Thomas Motorized 2025 and like Trackmaster 3, 4, I don't know. But I'm calling it the Legacy line just because it makes sense, because this is a merchandise line that uses, you know, the old designs. I mean, they're still using the freaking nitrogen renders from like 15 years ago, which is crazy to me. And it's great because it's the old show that we like, and it's not All Engines Go crap that we've been getting. Nothing wrong if you like All Engines Go, but like we've been getting those toys for 5 years and they've just not been selling, and it's been so good to finally get merchandise that I actually care about again. Now, this merchandise line does have its own problems, but I'll get into that when I get into that. Before I unbox this stuff, let me go into how I've obtained everything, because that is an adventure in itself. I believe I first got the 4 motorized packs that were in the first case at Walmart, so that would be Thomas, James, Gordon, and the Flying Scotsman. They were in the, I think case A is what the case is called that gets sent around. And then next I got the Day Out with Thomas. I didn't get it at Day Out with Thomas. I was planning to, but I couldn't end up going. I did see it at a train show for relatively decent price, so I ended up picking it up because why not? Then I believe after that, the 80th anniversary Thomas came out on Amazon, which was, I mean, it's convenient, so I ordered one of those. And then I didn't get these together, but then next was case B, which had Thomas, Percy, James, and Nia, so that's how I got Percy. And then I think like a week or two later, I found the Talking Thomas in Walmart. And then strangely enough, I found the Load and Launch Barrel Delivery set at a Marshall's for $30, which is like, normally it's $50, but Marshall's is like one of those weird stores where it's like, it's mainly like just like a clothing and home store, but it's got a toy section, and a lot of it's just like reject toys. I want to say reject toys, but it's all like discounted toys, and it's kind of crazy because I think it was that and then the new Talking Thomas that have been spotted at Marshall's, but I ended up getting it because I wasn't planning on getting it, but it was cheap, so I was like, you know, why not? Duck, I had to import because none of the 2-packs I have seen in stores, and I just really wanted Duck, so he was like the last character I need to really get this video going. The most recent purchase is the Sodor Adventure Pack, which contains all the diecasts. I wasn't planning on reviewing the diecast because I'm not really much of a diecast guy. I'm more of a motorized guy, as you can see, but I figured why not? You know, some of them look pretty cool, but I'll get into that when I get into that. It's weird because I've not been able to see any of the individual diecasts, but I found the pack with all the new ones pretty easily. The only 2 things I really don't have are the motorized Nia, which is, I did see her in stores, but I wasn't really motivated to get her just because I don't really care for her character. And then something I've been desperately trying to find is the diecast Storybook Thomas, purely just for the fancy piece of cardboard that's attached to it. I mean, it's a collector's piece, so. But it's been really fun buying Thomas merchandise that I actually care about, because like I said, it's just been nothing but All Engines Go stuff for the past 5-ish years, I want to say. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just go ahead and unbox this stuff, because I've been dying to unbox it for like, God, 3 months now. So yeah, let's just get into it. I'm rambling. Let's go. So I guess I'll just kind of go in the orders in which I got these. So we'll start with Thomas. I should have probably stated this earlier, but I will not be unboxing this just because I only have one and it's a collector's piece basically. So let's get into this. Fortunately, I don't have a rubber chicken, so I can't really do this the right way. So this is the classic Thomas pack. Let's first take a look at Thomas. The proportions are crazy good. Like, considering the last thing we got was that, this is basically perfect. Like, this is everything you could want out of a Thomas toy. There is this weird sort of paint splatter weathering thing it has on it. Some people like it, some people don't. I actually kind of like it. I think it kind of makes it seem less like plain looking, I guess. And it's weird because of the 3-packs, these are the only way that you can get the engines with white running boards and painted buffers. I think that's kind of weird. I think that should really be the standard for all of them. And then, of course, none of the back details painted, too. But other than that, this is a damn good Thomas toy. The face is as good as you can get for CGI Thomas. Wish the whistle was painted as well, but overall, a really good Thomas toy. I like this a lot. And then, of course, these are the Troublesome Trucks. Pretty damn good iterations of them, I'm not gonna lie. They're a bit smaller compared to, like, the classics, but you know what? That's okay. The crates are removable. I don't think... Actually, I think they are the same mold, they're just different colors, but that's fine. So, I don't know why they specifically paired Thomas with 2 trucks. Maybe just because Thomas and the Trucks, that might have been some sort of cheeky reference to it. But yeah, that's Thomas. Next, I think I'll do James without knocking down my little tower over there. Less than graceful, whatever. Let's get James out of the box. So I'll get the milk taker out of the way. That's, I mean, it's a tanker. What are you gonna do? Here's James. Now, James actually looks better in person than he does in the box. His body is a little fat, and that goes for all the Chender engines. There's that, and then there's also this really, really wide distracting gap between the engine and the tender. I'm assuming that's so it can maneuver the shorter curves. The tenders also have a removable cull piece, which is kind of cool. But the thing is, if you lose this, then you're kind of out of luck, basically. Maybe they did this because there might be some, like, coal hopper destination in the future. I don't know. So the length of James, I'm actually pretty happy with. I think that's... Again, there's this big gap, but, like, if you just kind of... Like, that is a more reasonable distance, I feel. In terms of scaling and whatnot. But overall, I like James a lot. I think he actually turned out pretty good, as well as he could, because, unfortunately, the battery compartment really just takes up a lot of space. But they did design him... I think this is, like, the best they probably could have gotten him, if I'm being honest. But I do quite like him. And then we have the best character, maybe not so much the best model, but we'll get into that. We have Gordon. So, obviously I had to get Gordon for the Gordon collection. So first, let's talk about the coach. Couple things. First, these little, like, gear-style wheels. This has been a thing for a while in the new Trackmaster line. Not a big fan of how it looks. It looks kind of ugly. In terms of the rest of the coach, I mean, it just it's just kind of disproportionate to, like, an actual express coach. I mean, it's fine for the line, but, like, it's a bit short. But hey, it's nice that we have one. And of course, he is Gordon. Now, a lot of people say that Gordon is the worst in this line. I'm probably going to agree with that, unfortunately, which pains me to say, because, no, Gordon's my favorite character, but what are you gonna do? Like, the length is okay. I actually quite like the length, but obviously, again, there's that, and the real cull piece, but we've already discussed that. The biggest thing is just the front end. I'm sorry, but to quote Thomas,
"You're too fat, you need exercise."
But yeah, the front just looks a little dingy, and it kind of makes his face look very fat. I know I'm saying that word a lot, but it's true. Something I do really like is these these piston rods right here. That's pretty cool. I actually didn't know this is either, but there's actually, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's actually molded wheels along the piston, so that's pretty cool. I actually have seen someone mod the front of Gordon to extend it out a bit more. I actually think it looks really cool. The name's escaping me right now, but I'll link it in the description. But I think Gordon turned out okay. Maybe I'm being a little soft on it just because he's my favorite character, but I actually kind of like the expression they chose for him as well. He's just, they're all just, I mean, granted, all the characters are just kind of looking in some off direction. But with Gordon, it's not really your typical pompous look. It's more of a content look. It kind of just looks like he's, you know, it just looks like he's enjoying life. I can't really describe it, but I don't know. I like it. Gordon's cool. Whoops. And then, of course, we have the Flying Scotsman, who I'm pretty excited about. I actually do have a second Flying Scotsman. I'm keeping this in box just because it seems like a more limited item, so I feel like it'd be nice to just have one. It also has the 80th logo, so figured why not keep a second one in the box. So boys, there are a lot to talk about with Scotsman. First of all, he looks better than Gordon. His front is actually more, like, proportionally it looks better. Like, with Gordon, literally all you had to do was do the same thing you did for Scotsman, so I just, Gordon, I wish, all you had to do was that. But yeah, so he has his little CGI hybrid design, which I'm personally fine with. I'm not sure, I mean, people can feel how they feel about it, but he's got the double chimney, the banjo dome, and the smoke deflectors, which I think makes him look pretty cool. The face is not as fat as Gordon, which I think just because it's kind of smaller than the rest of the smoke box. He has the same sort of piston style as Gordon. The tenders look nice. In fact, I will give a lot of credit to them because for some reason in CGI he has Fowler tender lining, which is, it doesn't make sense because it just does not follow the corners. But they actually gave him proper lining that aligns with his sides, which is pretty cool. So he's got the LNER in 4472. The only problem is just, again, the scaling. Like, the tenders should really be, like, at least beneath the cab, where they're actually pretty short, which I think if you made them, I mean, there's obviously you can make them too tall. I think they did that because you want them to look more like rectangles, where if you did them any taller, they'd look like squares. But I still think scaling, you could have done them a little bit bigger, but Scotsman's pretty cool. I like Scotsman a lot. I think it's pretty cool that we got a new Flying Scotsman at all in this line. Like, I think, like, for the first wave of characters, Flying Scotsman is an insane character to do, but yeah, that's the Flying Scotsman. Alright, now it's time for Percy. Here's the thing with Percy, I actually have a second one of him, because usually, like Thomas, he has this little weathering thing along his side, but I actually found one that does not have that. It's some sort of factory error, I think. The basic one, which comes in the 2-packs, he doesn't have the side weathering, but he doesn't have the white lamp either, which is kind of cool. So this is kind of a neat one-off. Some might argue that this looks better than that one, but I'm keeping this in the box just because it's cool to have. I might do something with it later, but for right now, we'll just get the one that I got as is. Let's start with the rolling stock. The brake fan is pretty cool. I like that a lot. The mail coach is stunning as well. It's got a good length to it, and it, like, proportionally to the rest of the range, this looks really nice. So yeah. Oh, I just realized it doesn't. I think I knew this, but it doesn't have logos on either side, which is a little disappointing. But nothing I'll lose sleep over. And here's Percy. Now, Percy is, I feel, same quality as Thomas. Something I do appreciate about Percy is that his boiler is an oval. Some merchandise ranges, for some reason, give him a more circular boiler. I know that's like a really specific pet peeve of mine, but I really like that they did that with Percy. So yeah, not much more to say about Percy. I'm pretty content with how he is. Again, he has this little weathering thing on the side of him. I'm still not sure what that's supposed to be, but yeah. He's cool. He's a happy little chap. I actually just noticed he has a painted, that's his whistle, I think. Not maybe his safety dog, but then Thomas doesn't have it painted, which is weird that they're doing that. Alright, this is the one I'm really excited about, and that is Duck. When I saw this in the Toy Fair pictures, I thought, wow, that is a damn good Duck toy, but I guess we'll have to unbox him first. Again, I got this for imported from the UK, so I had to pay a little bit of extra money, but I was impatient. I didn't even know if he was going to come to the States at that point, but we'll unbox him now. Alright, so Duck has this little cargo car, nothing to write home about there. This Duck model is fantastic. The shade of green that they chose for him, where it's more of like an olive green, not like a bright green like Percy here, I think it's pretty cool. For, like, proportionally, I'm gonna be honest, I think this is, like, the best Duck toy we've ever gotten. Like, and it's like, shocks me to say that. The face is really good. There's only two little things. I think the cab is just a little bit too tall, maybe shorten that a bit. And then the other thing I wish they did was make his buffers come out more. like they do with Thomas, whereas here they're a little flat. They got a little bit of molding to them if you feel it, but yeah, like the font of the GWR is right. Something else I like is that you can see a firebox glow in there, where I'm looking at Thomas and Percy. They don't have that, so it's really cool that they did that for Duck. Like I said, I'm really happy with this Duck model. He is amazing. Then lastly, we have the Talking Thomas. Now, originally I was not planning on getting this. However, in the US, remember this is a US toy, Thomas is voiced by John Hassler, his UK voice.
Hey everybody!
I thought that was really cool just because I love John Hassler as Thomas. And if that's indicative of Thomas being like a new Thomas show coming at all, with John Hassler in the US dub, I'm on board, but that's speculation, not really on topic for this video. And then this Annie and Clarabelle look pretty cool too, but well, again, we'll just unbox them.
No time for delay!
Oh, just started moving. So take a look at Annie and Clarabelle first. They look really good, about as good as the mail car, I would say. Another cool thing is that their roof's open and they have seats inside, which is pretty cool. Again, with the geared wheels, I don't like these, they look ugly. But for Annie and Clarabelle, these look really nice, and it's cool to, I'm actually kind of glad I got this just for the Annie and Clarabelle, because it's nice to have, let me actually get normal Thomas here. Like, if you don't like talking stuff, then it's nice to have Annie and Clarabelle with the standard Thomas. However, we do have the Talking Thomas. Obviously, his cab's a lot bigger, but that's to fit in the speaker and whatnot. I don't really have much different to say about Thomas than I do the standard Thomas. So, obviously, he doesn't have the white running board and the painted buffers. Then, of course, you have this giant speaker for the talking button. He just kind of goes until you tell him to stop.
Number 1 blue engine.
Hell yeah.
Right on time.
Nice.
Full steam ahead. Won't bust my buffers. On my way. Fizzling fireboxes.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I'm actually kind of glad I got this now. It's a neat toy. Obviously, talking toys have never been my thing, because, I mean, I don't know why you need your toys to talk back to you, but, I mean, it's cool. He also has a working light, too, which is kind of neat. So before I get into the diecast stuff, I'm going to quickly give my thoughts on on the new Motorized line as a whole. But before I do that, I thought it'd be fun to compare some of the engines to some of their previous counterparts, and I have a point to this. So let's just kind of compare. This is a Tomy Thomas. I have a different shell, but the bottom is from a Japan Thomas. So this is the same toy that you can buy, more or less, in Japan right now. So this toy is still being produced in Japan. And then this is what we have now. So which one are your eyes leaning towards? As for me personally, obviously I'm going to be biased towards my childhood range. But, you know, this one, compared, like, this one looks more like Thomas. I'm just going to say that straight up. It's like, obviously, it's taller, more proportional, whereas these are squashed, but that's because they were in the same range. They look pretty long, is what I'm saying. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Nothing matters, right? Yeah, so as for me, I'd be stumped. Like, if I was a child and I was kind of leaning towards one or the other, I don't know what I would do. So now let's look at Percy. Now this is the Tomy Percy, and this is the same Percy that you can buy in the Japanese market today. That's not that hard to get over here. So yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Thomas. One's looks a bit more like Percy, whereas one fits the rest of the range. Let me just spin them around. Compare them side by side here. Which one you thinking? One has a more detailed backside. That might be a factor. We'll do James as well. Move these back a little bit. Now this is my childhood James. This one's a little outdated. It's from 2009, whereas the Tomy one is different than the one in Japan right now. So that's the old James. That's the new James. I kind of wish I had the new one to compare a bit. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe we can look at it more like this. Let's do Gordon next. Now, and this is the more recent version of Japan. This is the most recent version of Gordon, and he looks stunning. As for which one I'm leaning towards, I think the answer here is a bit more clear. This one obviously I think is superior over the new one, but let's compare them nonetheless. Take a look. Then lastly, we'll do Duck. Now, Duck is not being produced anymore on the Japanese market. So this is a 2009 Duck from before they went into the Revolution era. Which one are you leaning? This is a bit more interesting. You know what? For me, personally, I think the new one, I can actually say with confidence, it's better than the old one. So that's something. Then here is all of them lined up side by side. It's a pretty interesting shot to look at. Now, why did I do that? Why did I compare all of these? Well, first, it's interesting. It's just fun. It might be an obvious answer to some of y'all. But the thing is, obviously Thomas and Percy were pretty comparable. James and Gordon, I kind of lean personally towards the Tomy ones. Whereas Duck, I've actually felt that the motorized one was better than the Tomy Trackmaster one. But the thing is that the Tomy versions are, as a line, that are more consistent. The tender engines obviously are very, for lack of better words, fat. But the biggest difference is one is sold in Japan, one is sold everywhere else. So that's the biggest thing. And to import these, I mean, in Japan they're around 2,400 yen for a 3-pack. So I think to get them over here though, you got to pay around $20 to $30, which is a bit out of most people's price ranges, I would say, unless you're a collector. But as a toy, as something you can get right now, obviously, this is going to be your best friend. Now, yes, I think it goes without saying that they are better than the old stuff, but then again, that's a low bar to set. But honestly, comparing these two, I mean, it's kind of a silly thing to talk about, really. Yeah, obviously I'm going to prefer the old Tomy stuff just for the sake of consistency. But for toys that you can buy now, they're pretty good. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Yeah, you can compare and contrast all you want, but at the end of the day, they're just Thomas the Tank Engine toys. It's not a big deal. You can like one or over the other. It's fine. You can dislike something. It's fine. It's Thomas the Tank Engine, man. So personally, I think these toys are great. I'd say Thomas, Percy, and Duck, those I can confidently say are 9 out of 10. Their proportions are really good. They're great. Now, when it comes to the tender engines, that's a little bit more tricky. I honestly kind of put them in the 6 to 7 out of 10 area, so maybe 6.5. So I wouldn't say the tender engines are great, but I would say that they are still good for what they are, as toys you can go in and buy on the shelf nowadays. But that's the thing, is that I'm just saying, it's so nice to have Thomas toys I actually care about. I can actually go and walk into a store, or I guess toy hunt would be the proper term that most people use. But it's nice to have my classic Thomas back. Now here is the Sodor Adventure Pack, which contains all 4 of the new diecast models that they released this year. So I actually kind of really like how they released it like this. Just so you wouldn't have to get, if you're planning on getting all of them anyway, so why not? Also comes with the Annie and Clarabelle. I do think those are just retools of the old push-along models, but that's okay. But yeah, so like I said, I also do have the Mattel 88 Thomas. I plan on keeping this one in box, but that's okay because I have one out of the box too. Just because you can order on Amazon, so I just ended up buying two. So, I actually really, just to quickly get my thoughts on it, I really like this. Red's my favorite color, so metallic red is very eye-catching to me. I know people say that this chrome metallic finish kind of rubs off over time, or if you just rub it really aggressively, then yeah, it'll wear off, but I don't plan on doing that, so yeah, very nice toy, but I'll give my thoughts on it more when I get Thomas out of the box. There we go. I won't spend as much time on these as I did the motorized, but I'll just quickly go over them anyway. Thomas is pretty good. I kind of already had an inkling of him from when I saw this. I actually noticed that this Thomas does not have rivet details, whereas this one does. That's pretty interesting. And then this one has, this is an exclusive variant to the pack, which has a guy painting Thomas's lining, which, I'm not a big fan of that personally. This Percy's pretty good too. I mentioned earlier how I don't like how in toys Percy sometimes is a very circular boiler. That seems to be a case here, but he's a cute little guy. So yeah, I think Percy is pretty cool. Now, this big boy, James, I think he's pretty cool too. He has this gold side rod and silver wheels where he's normally supposed to be black wheels. I actually kind of like what they did here. I'm probably in the minority, but I do kind of like it. I think it gives a pop and it matches his dome pretty well. The tenders are plastic, and the thing is with the plastic parts, they don't quite match the diecast sections, which now James, I really like James. I like how he has an open cab as well. Problem is, compared to everyone else, he just kind of towers over them. Where, granted, that's more with CGI scaling more so. But yeah, and especially compared to Henry here, he's the worst one, I think most people would say, but I still think he looks okay. So it's one, I just wish he had another wheel, like the take-along model. I think that's just kind of what I'm going to be biased towards, is the take-along model, because the take-along model was just so good. So, like with the tender engines on the motorized, his proportions here do look a little squashed. I wish he was just like, I think if they wanted to like, if they kept the size, I would have liked it if they went a little bit longer with his body length. And then the tender here's, again, it's plastic and not die cast, so that's a bit of a bummer. And it also kind of looks weird. I know this is how Henry's tender is in the show. I wish they kind of kept the red, the running board going here, like, because they did it with James. I don't know why they didn't do it with Henry. I guess I'll show the enemy colorful. I like how you can see the people inside. That's kind of cool. But these were made in the era in like 2018-ish, where they made everything really squished. So they just retooled these. The only difference is the wheels. These wheels are new and they match the rest of the range. So I guess I'll show how they look behind Thomas. Let's see. So yeah. That's pretty cool. Alright, so I very quickly set up the load and launch barrel delivery set. Like I said, I was not intending on getting this, but I got it at a good price, so I figured why not. I'll just quickly go through a couple pros and cons I have with it, because I know a lot of people have already reviewed it. I will say that this is my first time with the new, I guess, Trackmaster 2 system of track, and I've always really liked it, even if I've never had it before. It's kind of cool that, like, you can kind of pick most of it up and it doesn't come apart. I won't show it right now, but just take my word for it. So yeah, I really like the track system. For this set in particular, I actually really like the track layout a lot too. It reminds me a lot of like an actual rail yard. So there's a turntable and there's lots of switches around. We got this sort of semi-Vickerstown station looking kind of building. Although I will say I'm not a big fan of the color scheme of a lot of the track. It's all like multicolored. I would have preferred if it was all just one solid color, but that's just pure aesthetic. And then of course we have some nice elevation too with this bridge, you know, it's a figure 8, so it goes over and under, which is pretty cool. And the gimmick of the set is pretty cool too. Like if I have Thomas go along here, basically it's gonna launch the barrel and it should have hit the bell. Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, it kind of works there. That's pretty fun. One questionable thing I will say is this piece of track. It's not really a switch track. It's kind of made to unload engines, but it's also like a one-way thing, so it can only, like if it's coming from this direction, it can really only go straight because it's not like you can offset it. So I thought that was a little odd. There's this cheap looking felt tunnel too. Not a fan of that. There's more barrels to the set, by the way. I just don't plan on keeping this set because it takes up a lot of space. And to add to that, some of these pieces, like this station, it came in multiple pieces, but it has this kind of lock-on thing where, like, once you connect everything together, it snaps together tight. So after you connect it together, you can't unconnect it. So it's kind of stuck together. Same with that bridge. But all in all, this is actually a really fun train set. I mean, the barrel launching thing is kind of gimmicky, but I do appreciate how this is an actual, you know, train set, unlike what we've been getting for like the past 5 years, where, you know, we have engines actually delivering things. You know, there's a station, you know, there's a turntable. You know, it's kind of got everything you can ask for in a Thomas set, really. And I can imagine that, like, any kid who gets this, not 21-year-old guys who are sitting around and playing with trains, I can imagine any kid who gets this will be pretty happy with it. But anyway, I'm gonna get some track together and I'm gonna do a quick running session. That's always fun. Overall, this video was really fun to do because it was so fun, not only just like taking it out of the box and like playing with it, but like going into stores and buying Thomas merchandise that I actually cared about, because for the past 10 years, we have been getting nothing but just mediocre slapped together toys, whereas these toys, yeah, they're not perfect, but it feels like they have actual thought put into them, and that's really exciting for me. Because the future of this line has, like, so much potential, but so many times have we just seen so much potential from Mattel, and they just dropped the ball completely. I hope that's not the case here, but hopefully this is the sign of something really good. And also, this is just a pet peeve, but can we stop saying, like, yeah, this isn't as good as Play Rail, or yeah, this isn't as good as Take Along, but it's still good? Like, can we just say that these are good toys? Like, we don't gotta beat around the bush so much. Like, it's fine. Like, yeah, I will agree they're not as good, but they're good toys. I don't really care much more than that. And also, it's so good to get characters like Duck or the Flying Scotsman, or even Henry, because he hasn't been in the main cast since like 2018. So it's so nice to get like a good feeling out of Thomas again. And it's like they have to know they're doing something right, because they're still using the same nitrogen renders that they used for like the past 15 years on this new merchandise, when like these haven't been used in like 5 years, by the way, ever since All Engines Go came out. And then the other thing is, like, yeah, for the past 5 years that we got All Engines Go merch, which I didn't care about, but the thing is, ever since 2014, I've never cared about the merchandise that Mattel has produced either. So, like, it's because the Trackmaster stuff was, I mean, I liked the track for Trackmaster. I think that was the one thing they improved, but the engines just did not look good. Same with the diecast. I mean, Take and Play, they had the fat magnets, and then they did Adventures, which was like a slight improvement, and then they went to Push Along, which was just god-awful. But once again, Mattel has proven that they can actually give us good merchandise, and that thought is really exciting to me. I know I'm moving my, like, I mean, I'm pouring out right now, but I feel like a little kid on Christmas. I feel like a little kid on Christmas, just unboxing all these toys. I'm freaking 21 years of age, and I'm playing with toys that are meant for 2-year-olds, but we're Thomas fans. We can live with that. It's fine. I love these toys. If you want to show Mattel what we actually want out of Thomas, buy the hell out of these toys. I'm telling you, to show them what we actually want out of Thomas. I know, like, that I'm late to the party in saying this, and I know tons of people have already reviewed these toys already, but I don't care. I'm just telling you guys what I feel about this toy line, and I think it is a great toy line. Now, characters I would really like to see out of this line, I'd really like to see, for the diecast line, I'd specifically like to see Edward and Ryan. I think those both would look pretty good in this line, actually. Gordon I would want, just because, I mean, I need a Gordon model diecast. I really want a Daisy somewhere in there. I think for Motorized, since we got Duck, I mean, I kind of want Oliver as well, considering, I mean, Tommy Oliver is hard to come by these days, so it'd be nice to have a Motorized Oliver. Donald and Douglas, I mean, considering they came out in All Engines Go, I think they'd look pretty cool. Fitting a Spencer in there somewhere, I think he'd actually look pretty good as a Motorized model. But like, yeah, I just want a crap ton of characters, man, because I just want to start collecting toys again. I just want to walk into a store and see a character that I care about and be able to buy it. I know I'm sounding crazy right now, but like, God, it's so good to have toys I actually care about. So I think that's going to do it for this video. I poured out enough, but thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.